Yo, hello everyone, and welcome to the Nerd Ledger. Oi, we got some things to talk about today, we do. Yes, I am Kaje. I'm here solo because I'm going to talk about some news, because hey, there's some news that needs to be talked about, okay guys? Some of it's a little bit old, and some of it is brand new, depending on when this is released. But, gotta talk about it, alright? There's a lot of stuff. Listen, I have read the headlines. I haven't read the full articles. So I'm going to learn just along with you guys what these things mean. But there's some stuff to talk about. So let's just jump in. Here we go. Look at this. So this was the original article. This article was published. I saw this headline, Star Wars to change management after years of mixed reception. And my immediate thought was, does that mean Kathleen Kennedy is finally out? Is that what that means? Because the thing is, right, Kathleen Kennedy has been, she's been the head of Lucasfilm since it's been with Disney. She's kind of taken a little bit of a backseat recently-ish, like a year or so ago. It was announced that Dave Filoni would be like the head of creative there. But let's just read what this has to say first. But there's more to it. There's another article that I'll read right after. So, new reports reveal Kathleen Kennedy is stepping down as president of Lucasfilm, with Disney to appoint another person to oversee Star Wars. Kathleen Kennedy is reportedly stepping down at Lucasfilm as Lucasfilm president by the end of 2025, according to a February report from Puck News that cites three sources close to the situation. After nearly 13 years guiding the iconic Star Wars studio through Disney's ownership, Kennedy has apparently informed both the company and close associates about her decision to exit. While Disney and Kennedy's representatives have yet to publicly comment on her potential departure, the timing suggests she would conclude just as Star Wars prepares to return to theaters, with The Mandalorian and Grogu theatrical film in 2026 serving as the final project developed under her leadership. The reported departure comes after years of speculation about Kennedy's future at the company, with previous rumors of her exit circulating as far back as 2018. According to Puck's reporting, Kennedy, who turned 72 in June, had initially planned to leave in 2024 before deciding to stay one additional year. Sources claim she has been telegraphing her exit through personal decisions like selling her Malibu home and offloading art, while increasingly discussing plans to collaborate more closely with her husband, veteran producer Frank Marshall. If confirmed, her departure would conclude a contentious chapter in Lucasfilm's history that transformed the Star Wars franchise through the ambitious expansion while weathering significant criticisms from portions of the fan base. There's an ad. I don't want you ad. Go away. Kennedy's most enduring achievement at Lucasfilm may be her decision to pivot the Star Wars universe towards streaming content, The Mandalorian becoming a cultural phenomenon that helped establish Disney Plus in the competitive streaming landscape. The series introduced characters like Grogu, who captured worldwide attention and merchandise sales while earning critical acclaim. However, the success came after a turbulent theatrical strategy that saw the sequel trilogy, The Force Awakens, The Last Jedi, and The Rise of Skywalker, generate nearly $4.5 billion at the global box office, while increasingly dividing audiences. Plus, the 2018 release of Solo: A Star Wars Story marked a turning point when it became the first Star Wars film to lose money, with its $392 million worldwide gross falling well short of its substantial production and marketing costs. I think the rest of this article just kind of goes into their opinions, but yeah. So I think a lot of people would say, at least people I know would say, "Oh, this is great news. Kathleen Kennedy has been nothing but kind of a cancer for Star Wars. She's ruined Star Wars. She's destroyed Star Wars." And I think you have to call things as they are for the most part, right? The prequel trilogy, she should get criticism for. The sequel trilogy, she should get criticism for the most part, for a couple of things, right? And here's the thing: people will say there might be people who say, well, she doesn't deserve that much criticism because of the way she told the filmmakers to, do what they wanted and look and, pursue their vision. The problem is when you don't have a plan and you don't have a story, you have nothing. And you end up getting what we got, which was kind of a mess where nothing is cohesive. You're retconning things from previous movies. It doesn't work. And that's the greatest failing of the sequel trilogy, is that it just wasn't cohesive at all. On top of that, right? So to me, Kathleen Kennedy gets some criticism for that. She should get some praise for The Mandalorian. And again, people would counter that by saying, well, she had nothing to do with that. It was Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni, to which I would say, you're right, but she made the choice to hire them. And that's what this all comes down to. A lot of times, great management isn't necessarily about your decisions of creative or this or that. It's about who you hire, right? If you hire the right people, you get a good product at the end, most likely. If you hire the wrong people, you get the wrong product at the end. And of course, if you give the right people the wrong direction, that could hurt it too. Or if you give the wrong people the right direction, that's kind of where you're at. So she's the head of Lucasfilm. She gets credit for the things that do well. I know you can say they do well in spite of her or whatever you want to say, but in the end, she could have not hired Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni. She could have said no. She could have made that decision, but she made the decision to say, yeah, make your show, and you're the guys for the job. And you should get credit for that. Of course, then you should also be criticized for the sequel trilogy for shows like The Acolyte, which were not very well received. Skeleton Crew, I quite liked, and a lot of people quite liked. So, you should get credit for that as well for, again, hiring the right people. And that's what it all comes down to. Her legacy is determined by that, right? Star Wars under Disney has been either one thing or the other a lot of times. It's never been something where all fans go, this is spectacular, right? Like, Disney's done a wonderful job of holding the torch of Star Wars. Because a lot of people would say that in some respects they ruined Star Wars because of how they treated the Skywalker legacy. And in some respects, they revitalized Star Wars because of shows like Andor and The Mandalorian and things like of that nature. So, is it right? Is it wrong? And if you read this headline thinking, great, she's finally gone, well, guess what? It's loading. Hold on. Hey, if you're watching right now, it's loading, okay? There we go. Hey, it's done loading. There we are. Next article headline, Lucasfilm President Kathleen Kennedy is not retiring, new source says. So who's this new source and what the fuck are they talking about? Following claims that Kathleen Kennedy may be stepping down from her role at Lucasfilm in 2025, a new source is saying that may not be the case. On Monday, February 24th, 2025, Puck News' Matthew Belloni, spelled different, but it kind of sounds like baloney. Okay. Matthew Belloni reported that Kennedy, who has been the president of Disney's Lucasfilm since 2012, was planning to vacate her position by the end of the year. An unnamed source told Belloni, Kathy, aka Kathleen, was actually planning to leave last year. We already went over that. So what is the recent update on Kathleen Kennedy at Lucasfilm? According to, quote, a source familiar with the matter who spoke to CNN, it might not be the case. CNN's source said that, quote, there's nothing there right now regarding Kennedy's retirement. Quote, any announcement of Kennedy's retirement, if indeed there's anything to announce, will be made public when actual decisions are made, the source told CNN. The article further reads, Lucasfilm did not respond to a request for comment. Okay, well, spokesperson for Disney, no comment. Got it, okay. All right, gotcha. All right. Yeah, there we go. All right. So we don't know. At the end of the day, we don't know. Even without this article coming out to say we don't know, we already knew we don't actually know until something actually officially comes out. So, moving on. There we are. A headline, for those not watching. Superman lawsuit that could have major effects on DC Studios gets a big update. So there's currently a lawsuit. There's currently a lawsuit about Superman from the family of the one of the creators, and I'll go into that as I read this article. I'm sure they put it in there. If not, then I'll have to go look it up and give you all the details. James Gunn's upcoming film Superman is currently the subject of a lawsuit that could impact its release in select international markets, as Mark Perry, who is late Superman co-creator Joe Shuster's nephew, claims the movie is in violation of copyright laws. The lawsuit has now received a significant update, with Warner Brothers and DC Comics moving to have it dismissed. According to Variety, the parties are, quote, arguing the issue has already been exhaustively litigated, end quote, pointing to numerous instances of the courts rebuffing Perry in the past. Records show that Perry's mother, quote, signed away all rights to the Superman character, unquote, following Shuster's passing. Another quote from WB attorney Daniel Petrocelli: Perry's complaint fails on every ground. There are no carve-outs in the controlling 1992 agreement for any foreign copyrights, much less for the copyrights in the 10 countries Perry now alleges in the complaint. The Shuster estate first filed the lawsuit in late February, aiming to block Superman from being released in Canada, the United Kingdom, Ireland, and Australia. Perry, who is the executor of the estate, is seeking, quote, damages and injunctive relief for the defendant's ongoing infringement, end quote, in the countries listed in the lawsuit. In a response, Warner Brothers issued a statement outlining the provisions of Superman's international copyrights. Scheduled to release in July, Superman is the first film of the rebooted DC Universe franchise that is overseen by DC Studios co-heads Gunn and Peter Safran. WB is in the midst of promoting the movie, unveiling the official trailer late last year and sharing a new look for fans during this year's Puppy Bowl. If precedent is anything to go by, it seems like Superman will be able to receive its full planned global rollout unless there is new information that comes to light. The fact that Perry has made similar claims that have been dismissed before indicate Warner Brothers and DC are not in violation of any copyright claims. Hopefully this matter is resolved swiftly, as there are only a handful of months before Superman's premiere. It is unknown when the court will make a decision. The lawsuit was filed in New York, and WB has asked that it be transferred to the Los Angeles judge who handled it previously if it isn't dismissed. More conjecture. Okay, got it. Yeah, so it is entirely possible that the judges decide, hey, fuck it, dude. We're gonna grant this guy's injunction lawsuit bullshit. And yeah, it's possible. It's possible. Don't see it happening. Not worried about it. Kind of a non-story. What kind of is a story is John Bernthal's Punisher. So yeah, guys, Daredevil's back. First 2 episodes are out. I watched them already. Chair and I are going to talk about them on Wednesday the 12th or Thursday the 13th, one of those dates, and we'll talk about episodes 1, 2, and 3 at that point. And strap yourselves in, kids, because it's going to be a wild ride. But John Bernthal's Punisher is well known to be returning at some point in this season of Daredevil, and apparently that's not the only return we'll see of him, because he will also return after Daredevil Born Again Season 1 in a quote, well, there's no quote, but there should be, in a Guardians of the Galaxy style Marvel special. To me, when I read this headline, it makes me think, is it really like the holiday special, or is it more like the Marvel special, what are they called? Special presentations or whatever, the Werewolf by Night thing, right? Which I get maybe they're both the same. I don't know. Anyway, John Bernthal's Punisher will return after Daredevil Born Again Season 1 in a Guardians of the Galaxy style Marvel special. Entertainment Weekly reported that Bernthal will also write the Marvel special with We Own the City director Reinaldo Marcus Green. Brad Winderbaum, the head of Marvel Television, said, "It's like a shotgun blast of a story, but also has all the pathos and emotion that you want out of a Frank Castle story. It's so exciting." News of the Punisher one-shot comes as Marvel Television plots the return of the Defenders on Disney+. The street-level superhero team, which includes Matt Murdock's Daredevil. Are they really doing that? Are they doing the Defenders thing? Hold on, let's get to it. Brad Winderbaum continued, "It's certainly exciting to be able to play in that sandbox. Obviously, we don't have the unlimited storytelling resources like a comic book, where if you can draw it, you can do it. We're dealing with actors and time and the massive scale of production in order to build a cinematic universe, especially on television. But I can just say that all those variables taken into account, it is certainly something that is creatively extremely exciting and that we are very much exploring." So who knows? Maybe the Defenders will be back. But yeah, no, one-shot Punisher series, special event. Sounds exciting, guys. Sounds pretty fun. Sounds pretty cool. You know what else is supposed to come out sometime soon? X-Men 97 Season 2. And when can we expect it? Well, that's what this article is here for. Listen, Season 1 came out last year. We all thought Season 2 probably wouldn't have to wait that long. I'm pretty sure it wrapped Season 1 wrapped up when? I don't know. Well, it started in March, so it wrapped up around May, maybe. It's been a year. It's been a year, guys. Since it debuted, it's been a year. And we don't know anything. Except that, Bo DeMeo, the showrunner, and Disney are massively having this fallout publicly and in court at some point where he's accusing them of shit and they're accusing him of shit, and it's just kind of really ugly and disgusting and nobody really knows what's going on. Well, here's an update. Marvel's acclaimed animated series X-Men 97 won't return with its second season until 2026. This unexpectedly long production timeline was revealed by Brad Winderbaum, Marvel Studios' head of streaming television and animation, during a recent interview with Collider. The news comes as a significant disappointment to the dedicated fan base that has made the Revival series one of Disney Plus's biggest hits and last year's comic book Golden Issue Award winner for Best Animated TV Show. The extended gap between seasons means viewers will have to wait approximately 2 full years to see the resolution of multiple cliffhangers, including the introduction of Apocalypse, the possible resurrection of Gambit, and the formation of a new mutant team. Of new mutant teams teased in X-Men 97 Season 1 finale. So, this is what Winderbaum had to say. Season 2 of X-Men 97 is going to be in 2026. We're working on it now. It's exciting. The world of the 90s is just, honestly, I can't believe they let me make it. I grew up at Marvel, as you know, clocked a lot of time here, and I feel like I used a lot of currency to revive this thing that I loved watching after school. So the fact that we get to play in that universe with these actors is honestly why I went into the business in the first place. While Winderbaum's passion for the series is evident, the extended production timeline raises questions about the challenges facing the animation team. The first season of X-Men 97 premiered in March of 2024, meaning the gap between seasons will be approximately 2 years, significantly longer than the typical 1-year wait for animation series for similar scope and scale. The extended timeline is particularly surprising given that Marvel had already begun work on Season 2 even before the first season aired, with former showrunner Bo DeMeo confirming that he had started writing the second season before his controversial departure from the project. Before I continue, because I'm sure they're going to talk about it, but hey, I'm going to preempt them. I'm going to showbiz them a little bit. That's most likely why it's taking so long. Bo DeMeo is still credited as the showrunner for Season 2. He probably wrote almost all the scripts or most of the scripts for Season 2. Because of this public fallout, they want to remove his showrunner credit. You can't just remove his showrunner credit and keep all his work, so you got to redo a lot of his work. That's kind of the crux of it. Let's see what they say. The lengthy delay between seasons likely stems from multiple factors, including the well-documented behind-the-scenes turbulence that has affected the production. Most notably, the show experienced a major creative shakeup with DeMeo when DeMeo was removed as X-Men 97 showrunner in March of 2024. Just as the first season was airing, DeMeo, who created and served as head writer for the first season, was reportedly fired for alleged misconduct, allegations he has since denied. The sudden leadership change necessitated finding a new creative team to guide the second season, inevitably extending the production timeline. What do we know? Just blah 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 blah. Yep. Okay. Yep. Got it. All right. Yep. The rest of that article is meaningless. Yeah, it's very sad news. It's very sad news. We have to wait so long. This is the last bit of news I have to talk about, and it is interesting. There's going to be a lot of different responses to it. I've already seen some online. You can't see an article posted about this news without seeing laughing reaction emojis on Facebook, and I don't know. It's hard to really discuss something of this nature in a fair way in a public forum. I'm going to try my best to be fair about it here. But yeah, I mean, this is bound to create a lot of controversy. But I think it's because it's a controversial decision. And I think you're going to be hard-pressed to find anyone who goes, that is wonderful, when they hear this. I'm going to take a sip because I need to what do I need to do? I need to wet my palate. Okay, guys? All right. Yep. Soothed the throat a little bit. I was screaming before I started recording this. Not like at people or at things, but, I was recording some music and I was screaming, into the microphone. My camera is blurry. So, yeah, I've made you guys all wait for me to read this headline now. So now I guess I have to read it. Harry Potter HBO series finds its Professor Snape and McGonagall. So some casting. What? Okay, let me fix my cam. Hello. See, this is me up close. Up close, you can see I have some stubble, some massive pores. You know what I'm saying? Okay, moving the cam back up. Here we go. Hopefully, yep, there we go. Perfect. So, some casting news. We already know. Oh, maybe they'll talk about it. Okay, I'll just read the article. The cast for HBO's upcoming Harry Potter TV show is rounding out into shape. Shortly after John Lithgow signed on to play Hogwarts headmaster Albus Dumbledore, the network has found actors to portray two of the school's most notable professors. According to Deadline, Janet McTeer, an acclaimed actress known for her Oscar-nominated turns in Albert Nobbs and Tumbleweeds, is negotiating a deal to portray Minerva McGonagall. For the role of Severus Snape, HBO has landed on Papa Escido of May Destroy Your Fame. He previously earned BAFTA and Emmy nominations for his performance on that series. It's important to note that contracts have not been finalized yet. HBO said in a statement, "We appreciate that such a high-profile series will draw a lot of rumor and speculation. As we make our way through pre-production, we can only confirm details as we finalize deals." Still, barring something unforeseen, McTeer and Escido will be the next to join the Wizarding World. The Harry Potter TV series... The HBO TV show, which aims to be a more comprehensive adaptation of the original novels, is targeting a release window of 2026 or 2027. HBO's plan calls for it to run for 10 years, a sizable time commitment Lithgow addressed when he confirmed his casting as Dumbledore. The expectation is that production will begin later this year. Dame Maggie Smith portrayed Professor McGonagall in 7 of the 8 feature films released between 2001 and 2011. Snape, of course, was brought to life by Alan Rickman, who appeared in each installment of the movie series. Both were fan favorites in their roles. Word of Escido's involvement in the TV show was first reported back in December, when it was said HBO had offered him the role of Snape. Excuse me. Notably, both McTeer and Escido are English actors, which will probably please Harry Potter fans. While Lithgow is a talented performer who could fit the part of Dumbledore well, his casting proved to be controversial since he's American, breaking a significant casting rule from the movies. It's also encouraging that these two have received numerous accolades throughout their career, illustrating HBO is attempting to target quality actors. Smith and Rickman became synonymous with their characters in the Harry Potter films, making it difficult to see anyone else as McGonagall or Snape. McTeer and Escido have a tall task ahead of them, but they've demonstrated that they have the ability to put their own stamps on the roles and make them their own. it'll be interesting to see how their iterations compare to their cinematic counterparts. Yeah. Okay. More. Yep. Production. Yep. All that. Okay. Yep. Got it. So that's the last article, and I'm gonna go back here and make my cam a little bigger. Okay. So the difficult part of this is that, obviously, for people who don't know, the actor they cast to play Snape is black. He's a person of color, and Snape is not. Is it crucial to his character that he is a white guy who's greasy and snivelly and long hair and crooked nose? Some would say yes. I would say not necessarily, right? Like, it's integral to his character in terms of, in the books, he's bullied. He's called certain things by James Potter and his group of friends because of the way he looks, because of his greasy hair. They call him Snivelous and this and that, right? So you could say, well, yeah, that's super relevant because of his backstory. You can adjust it. You can adapt his backstory, right? You can adapt it so that they can bully him for other reasons besides long hair and a crooked nose. The problem with that is when you change the race of the character, there are consciously or unconsciously going to be racial undertones and overtones to the bullying, right? And I think that's not something you necessarily want to see in a show like this, right? This fantasy show where you're trying to escape certain parts of reality, and there are these, racial undertones there. If they even show that, right? Then maybe they won't even show it. They won't, make any reference to him being bullied by James Potter. It makes his character gives him less motivation to hate Harry, maybe, if they do that, other than the fact that, he loved Lily and Lily married James. But, they could work around it. I think the biggest issue that most people have with it is that this show it came out hot and said, we're going to try, our reason for making this show is to really make a more true adaptation than what the movies were, to dig deeper, to focus more on the things that get overlooked. And when you're posturing largely that you're going to make a Harry Potter adaptation that is more true, and you disregard the descriptions of how the characters look, well, then people feel like you're being disingenuous. Do I really care that much? Not really, because I don't know anything about the actor. Like, I'm a big advocate in general for the most qualified people should get the jobs, as long as it's not like, as long as it doesn't really matter that much. And in this case, some would argue that it really matters, and so that's where they are, and you have to understand that. I don't know. I can't say, no, you're wrong. You have to accept this. And I mean, it's happened. Or it's going to happen. You do have to accept that. Or you can say, I don't accept it. I'm not watching, which is your right as well. Fair enough. It could be fantastic. It could be troublesome. And on the point of the racial undertones, or overtones, or whichever, yes, you can argue there is parts of that, right, throughout Harry Potter. There's prejudice throughout Harry Potter. Half-blood, mudblood, muggle, all, like, even muggle, like, it's not like a bad term, but it could be used as one, right? And so you have those undertones or overtones already of prejudices for people not being pure blood, and that's, that in the show is inherently a bad thing, right? It's a bad thing to judge people in that way, and it makes it very clear in the narrative that the bad guys think that way, and the good guys, doesn't matter who they are, where they come from, they're virtuous by by choice. J.K. Rowling has had a lot of issues in the way she's retconned certain things with her books, and because she's become, in the mainstream view, a problematic figure, people have gone back over her books with a fine-tooth comb to be like, oh, look at this awful thing and look at this awful thing, and I think that's stupid. I'm a big advocate of the literary analysis technique of, well, it's not an analysis technique, but like the literary concept of death of the author, where to me I don't need to know who the author is. I don't need to know anything about them or anything they've ever said to read the story and interpret it in my own way. It doesn't matter what their intention was. It matters what's in the book. If it was their intention, if it was something they were serious about, they would put it in the book. If it's not in the text of the book, it's up to interpretation. And so when she came out and said Dumbledore is gay, that's her interpretation to me as the writer. And you can say, sure, yeah, she's the writer. What she says goes. I disagree. If it was that important to her, she would have put it explicitly in the book. She didn't, so it's up to interpretation. You can read the book and say, yeah, he seems like he would be gay to me. Yeah. But you could also read it and say, I don't get that at all. So, I read it and I think he's asexual or this or that. Like, if it was that important to her, she would have put it in the book. And the same goes with this whole Hermione on conception was a person of color, right? She's come out and said, Hermione, she's a person of color. Look at her description. Well, I've looked at her description. I've looked at all of J.K. Rowling's character descriptions because I've read the books many, many times. And something I will tell you for certain is every character that is black is described as black. Every single one. Like, she explicitly makes that so. I might have some screenshots saved, old screenshots of it on my phone. Maybe not. But I used to have a folder for screenshots from books. Maybe I do, maybe I don't. I don't think I do anymore. Well, at least not on this phone. Maybe on an old phone. But yeah, I had excerpts to but like Angelina Johnson, right? Blaze, right? These are characters who are black and are described as black, and that's what J.K. Rowling does. So, and Hermione is not described that way ever. So, again, she can say what she wants, but it's just not the case. Here we go. I found one, right? I'll just read the whole page. It's just just so you can get an idea. You guys might request for me to read more books after this because I'm a phenomenal reader. Smile. I'm just kidding. Maybe, said Hermione thoughtfully. What? Said both Harry and Ron together. Well, maybe he didn't want to draw attention to Hagrid not being there. What you mean, drawing attention to it? Said Ron, half laughing. How could he not draw? How could we not notice? Before Hermione could answer, a tall black girl with long braided hair had marched up to Harry. Hi, Angelina. Hi, she said briskly. Good summer. And without waiting for an answer, listen, I've been made Gryffindor Quidditch captain. Nice one, said Harry, grinning at her. He suspected Angelina's pep talks might not be as long-winded as Oliver Wood's had been, which could only be an improvement. Yeah, well, we need a new keeper. Now Oliver's left. Trials are on Friday at 5 o'clock, and I want the whole team there, all right? Then we can see how the new person will fit in. Okay, said Harry, and then she smiled at him and departed. Again, every character who is black in Harry Potter is described in the text as black. Before Hermione could answer, a tall black girl with long braided hair had marched up to Harry. That's one example. Just one. Just one. Here we go. I'll read this whole page for you too, just because we're here. Slughorn is welcome. Harry was the most warmly anticipated. Slughorn here. Harry, my boy, said Slughorn, jumping up at the sight of him, so that his great velvet-covered belly seemed to fill all the remaining space in the compartment. His shiny bald head and great silvery mustache gleamed as brightly in the sunlight as the golden buttons on his waistcoat. Fuck. Good to see ya. Good to see ya. And you must be Mr. Longbottom. Neville nodded, looking scared. At a gesture from Slughorn, they sat down opposite each other in the only 2 empty seats, which were nearest to the door. Harry glanced around at their fellow guest. He recognized a Slytherin from their year. A tall black boy with high cheekbones and long, slanting eyes. There were also 2 7th-year boys Harry did not know, and squashed in the corner beside Slughorn and looking as though she was not entirely sure how she had got there, Ginny. Now, do you know everyone? Slughorn asked Harry and Neville. Blaise Zabini is in your year, of course. Zabini did not make any sign of recognition or greeting, nor did Harry or Neville. That's the whole page. Again, a tall black boy. There's more than one example for you, boys and girls. Hermione was never described that way, and obviously neither was Snape. Snape's description is far from that. However, again, I don't think it's that relevant other than the issue with both Snape being bullied and Hermione being a witch born to Muggle parents, right? A mudblood. There are racial overtones to those things that are hard to ignore. Again, whether it's conscious or subconscious, and people don't want that visual representation of something that's already implied. Not to say we shouldn't confront real life problems in fantasy, because we do all the time, and of course we should, but it shouldn't be so explicit. And again, I'm not speaking necessarily from my viewpoint. I'm speaking generally, because I think based on the reaction to the actor playing Snape being black, a lot of people are very opposed to it because of one thing or the other. A lot of people will point simply to the description. Other people will call it, if you're familiar with English soccer, Everton coach Sean Dyche, utter woke nonsense. But do I think this is a decision made out of wokeness? No. Do I think it's going to hurt the quality of the project? No. Do I think it plays any real significance in their ability to tell the story they're telling? No. My opinion is always with these things, wait and see. But I can't dictate to other people that they need to wait and see. People are going to have their own opinions, and I'm not here to change your mind. I'm not here to tell you you're wrong. And if people disagree with me, I think that's a good thing, and I'm open to listening to people who disagree with me, because that's how we learn. We need to understand that other people think differently, and just because it's not the way we think doesn't mean that they're a bad person or that they need to change who they are or change the way they think. Maybe sometimes they do, but it doesn't mean that we're right and they're wrong. It doesn't mean that they're right and we're wrong. All it means is that people have different experiences and different backgrounds and different perspectives and think differently. So if people aren't ready for a black Snape, that's their prerogative. That's their life. It won't affect me what they think, and it shouldn't affect you. But it also won't affect them that I'm gonna wait and see, and I'm still gonna give it a chance. Some people on the crazy end of things will say, yeah, you're the reason why they did it, because if you didn't watch it, then they wouldn't do it, and which I think is also ridiculous. But hey, that's it. For me, it's a live and let live kind of thing. Not everybody's on the same wavelength, you know what I'm saying? So I don't know why my decision to watch a show of something that I'm a fan of would bother people, but it does. So here we are. That's it, guys. That's all I had to say. I know that was a very long-winded thing, but I hope you enjoyed. You can rate, review, comment. You can do all the things. Okay, we got podcasts on all podcast platforms. We got YouTube. We post the videos from every podcast on YouTube. So you can go watch there if you want to watch one. It's called The Nerd Ledger. I mean, I'm sure you know that if you're here. Yeah, look at my hair in the back is sticking up a little bit. It's because I just showered earlier. Anyway, bye. Stay nerdy, boys. That's a callback. Anyway, bye. See ya.